Murphy says to Casey, what's that you've got in your hand? He says, they're cod's eyes, 2 cod's eyes. He says, what are they for? For giving you brains. She says, you're joking. He says, they're £1 each, and they give you brain food. He says, I'll buy them off you for £2. He says, thanks. There you are. So we met him the next morning. He said, remember those cod's eyes you give me? I give you £2. He said, that's right. I could have bought 48 cod's eyes with £2. So there you are. They're starting to work right away. This lad was always fighting in scraps. The police took him in the police station there, and his mother came to see him. She says, Tony, what's the matter with you? Always a fighting and playing and through and terrible fights. It's shocking. He says, don't talk like that, mother. She says, I'm working all the day to make a nice little home for you, and your father's are down the pit, and he's working his fingers to the bones. What's the matter with you, Tony? She said. He says, don't talk like that, mother. She said, what do you mean, don't talk like that? He says, you're not Italian.
Today the world's changing, isn't it? And we've got to be quick these days. Have you noticed how quick people are becoming? They've got an answer for everything, you know what I mean? Like the phone went in the hospital and the matron said, hello, yes? And a voice said, I'm inquiring about the gentleman in Ward A. Could you tell me how he is? She said, yes, he's very comfortable. He's having his operation tomorrow. Who's speaking? He said, it's a bloke in Ward A here. Nobody tells me anything, you know. I mean...
I had a hell of a journey from Wales to Manchester tonight, you know. I came through Birmingham. There's a rough place. Driving through Birmingham, I saw the 2 Birmingham fellas beating up a white man.
Oh, dear lad. Oh, I like them, so don't y'all like them? It's low. No, hold on. No, hold on. We're not cutting. We're not cutting because I can't stop too long tonight, you know. I've got to go back to Africa, you know. And it's a long way in a canoe. Have you ever rowed a canoe? Ooh. Mind you, as I said, when we take over, there'll be no need. That'll burn mine then, because we're in, you know, and that's it. We're not letting you go on canoes, just send you on a ship, you know. And you'll be, hey, hold on. This is true, this. There were a little midget, you know, and a grand little fella, and he got on train at Donny, and he was going he was going to Peterborough, but he got on this train, and he's belted along, and he said, there you, where we off? They said, London. He says, I'm on a show at Peterborough. I said, well, we don't stop. He says, you'll have to stop. He says, you'll have to do. He said, he said, hold on, I'll go see driver, see what we can do for the old love. So he said to the driver, he says, this midget is on a show at Peterborough, can we help him? This is only one thing we can do, we'll slow down, going through the station. He said, fetch him here. So he says, come here. He says, look, cock. He says, Peterborough. He says, but we don't stop. He said, I know, but he said, well, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, we get in near, I'll slow the train down. He said, I'll pick the up with scruff and neck, hang the out at window and get the little legs going, see? So he does this, and his legs are going. And he dropped him smack on Peterborough Station, and he's going like, whoa. And guard looked out, and he seen this. So he whipped him up, he says, by gum, I nearly missed it that time, old
lad. No, actually, you read a lot about in the paper. You read a lot about different things in the papers. You read about heart transplants. Well, I was in the northeast of England about 4 weeks ago, and there were 3 fellas in a club having an argument. One was an American. He said, Mac, in the States, we transplanted a kidney into a guy, and 3 weeks later, he was out looking for work. A Russian fella got up. He said, in Russia, we transplanted a heart into a patient. 2 weeks later, he was out looking for work. A little Yorkshire fella got up. He said, I'll tell thee what. He was a Welsh Yorkshireman, this fella was. We transplanted a fella from Huddersfield into 10 Downing Street. 3 weeks later, there were 200,000 out looking for work. Bless you. Well, it's true. There's a lot of unemployment all over the country. I mean, take South Wales. My friend Di hasn't worked for 40 years. He hasn't worked for so long, one of his insurance stamps is worth more than a penny black. Shows how lazy they are in the family. His son hasn't worked for 10. Sitting in the kitchen one day, he said, "Son, go outside and see if it's raining." He said, "Got a better idea. Call a dog in, see if he's wet." How lazy can you get? Even sprays his lawn with pink gin so the grass will come up half cut. He was lying in bed one afternoon, mending a puncture. Be careful, love, somebody's going to sit there tomorrow night. His wife said, "Get out of bed. Get out of bed, get down to the assistant's office and get some money." He walks in the assistant's office and there's a clerk behind the counter. He said, "Just a minute, please." You've got to wait your turn like everybody else. No wonder the country is going to rack and ruin. All you Welsh people emigrate to England and you don't go to work. He said, "You got to start work. What's your occupation?" He said, "I was a Zeppelin maker." He said, "That's enough of that nonsense. You got a job. You're starting in a film as Long John Silver. You start on Tuesday, £250 a week." He said, 250 quid a week? I'll start on Monday. He said, "No, I'll be in hospital on Monday. Have your leg off." Ah, that's lovely.
And what about this woman that come running out of the bank screaming blue murder? And this policeman said, "What's up?" She said, "An elephant's just been in and robbed the bank." He said, "Will you recognise it again if you see it?" She said, "No, it had a stocking over its head." I'm a riot sounds that. Hey, and it's funny, you know, it's funny, but you know, when I go shopping now, and I'm not acting daft, you know, and I'm being serious, and I walk in, and I walked into this shoe shop, and I said, "A pair of crocodile shoes, please." He said, "Certainly. What size is your crocodile take?" We're having a good time, aren't we? Yeah, I have the same trouble getting a suit, you know. I walked into this shop and I said, "I want to try that suit on in the window." He said, "Well, you can't. You'll have to try it on in the cubicle." Hey, and I was in this pub, and this fella came in, and he said, "A double whiskey, drinks all round, and have a pint yourself." And the manager said, "Thanks very much, £5.15. He said, "I haven't got any money." He went, "Smack, get out." And don't come back. He said, "All right then." So the next night he come in again, and he said, "A double whiskey, drinks all round, and nothing for you." He said, "Why?" He said, "You get nasty when you've had a drink."
Oh, you're grand. Do you know? I'll do my best for your lot, you know. I will. If I can keep it in this country, I'll do it. No, because I like your coloured people. I think you deserve it. Now, you know, this Red Indian, different from them others, this one. He got wedged, you know, and he brought his squaw over to, you know, into Manchester, got in this big posh hotel. So they had a jar or two, and then they went to bed, you know, and at 1 o'clock he woke up, he gave her a nudge, he said, "Squaw, water." So she nipped out and comes back with a glass of water, doesn't she? 3 o'clock, "Squaw, water." Off she goes, comes back with a glass. 5 o'clock, nudge her again, "Squaw, water." She goes, she comes back, empty glass. He says, "Squaw, why no water?" She said, "Sorry, Chief, pale face sat on well."
Mrs. Coyne was in the pictures, showing Quo Vadis. She says, put the lights on, call the manager. He says, yes, Mrs. Coyne, what's wrong? She says, those Jews being thrown to the lions. It's terrible. He said, they're not Jews, they're Christians. Oh, she said. The film went back on. 10 minutes later, she's, call the manager, stop the picture. He said, what's wrong now, Mrs. Coyne? She said, that lion there, he's not eating.
I was walking along past the Manchester Ship Canal and I was looking over this bridge and a fella came up and said, bad luck, me mate's in the river. So I dived in, swam around for 3/4 of an hour, came back and said, I'm sorry, was it your mate out of work? He said, no, sir, it was the mate out of me lunch.
Irishman came home from the building site, full of stuff. The landlady says, I'm glad you're early, Paddy, she said. The bulb's gone in the best room. She says, I'll fix that for you, Mrs. Woman. Don't you worry about that. And he walks in the best room and stands on a £1,000 piano. Beautiful piece of furniture. In this muddy well, is it? She said, hang on, I'll put a bit of paper under your feet. He said, no, you're all right, I can reach it. He said. Fell around my side of the maternity ward. Boozed. She came out, she said, whose is the black one? He said, it'll be mine, she burns everything. General Custer, holding on to the flag, 5,000 arrows in his back, and 10,000 Indians galloping round him. And his last words, he said, I can't understand them Indians, he said. Half an hour ago, they were singing and dancing. Napoleon rode to the top of this hill on his horse, weighing the job up there. 50,000 Russian troops out front, 25,000 of his own troops galloping behind him. And he shouts, halt! They all stopped about 4 miles away. And this footman pushed his way through all the troops and run 4 miles to Napoleon. He went. Napoleon said, what do you want? He said, I thought he shouted me. He said, I shouted, halt. Oh, he said, I thought he shouted, Walt. I went to the doctor and said, I'm very, very worried. He said, what are you worried about? Have you got a good home? He said, yes, I live in Cheshire, nice big home there. Yacht, Cairns, Rolls, Silver Cloud, Mercedes. He said, what are you worried about? He said, well, I only get £9.15 a week. Two astronauts came out of this pub on the moon. Welsh slosh they were. One said, that's the last time I go in there. He said, why? He said, there's no atmosphere.
The little Greek used to walk in every morning and shout to the fella in the Chinese restaurant, what's for dinner today, Wong? Fried lice? So he got fed up listening to this fried lice and he went to the university till he was able to speak proper English and he was able to say fried rice. So the little Greek walked in one morning and shouted, what's for dinner today, Wong? Fried lice? He said, no, it's fried rice, you gleek glit.
I wish my dad had been here because he'd have enjoyed your company. He's great, me dad, you know. He's on the docks, actually. He's in C Division. You know C Division? See that, see these, see them. He's great now. He's great. He used to be in the Navy. I remember him, on his last voyage, he thought, I'll bring me mother something home to remind her of the days at sea, you see. So he bought me gran this huge parrot, £250, and he brought it home, and my gran was a bit Mutt and Jeff, you know. He said, I've brought this parrot home here. It'll talk to you and keep you company in the rocking chair. The parrot will talk. She said, eh? He said, you see this bird here? It'll talk to you. In 9 languages, the bird. She said, how? He left it with her. He went back the week after. He said, how's the parrot? She said, lovely. The flesh just fell away. But it's wrong, isn't it? It's wrong. I mean, and people, you know, today they've got a funny outlook today. I mean, people in Liverpool, for instance, think that all comedians are going to get up and skip the dockers, you know. And this is wrong because I don't know whether you've heard, but in Liverpool things are slack on the docks now, and fellas are taking stuff back. And this is true, you know. I mean, there's a big American got off the boat with a big hat and a cigar. You know, here's me cigar. The rest of me's coming, and he's walking up the road, and there's a big circle of dockers like that. And in the middle, on the floor, there's an old fella. The Yank said, what's wrong with him? They said, he wants to go to the toilet. He said, why doesn't he go? They said, on his dinner hour. But they don't understand this, do they? They don't, no. Look at the poor old soul, went to the parish priest. He said, Father, I'm dying of neglect. I've got no gas, no coal, no food. What am I going to do? The priest said, you want to ask God to help you? He said, I will. So he wrote a letter to God. Dear God, I'm stuck for a few bob. If I had 100 quid, it'd look after me for the rest of my days. Or he put it in an envelope. God, care of heaven, stamp. And the fellow in the GPO opened it up. He said, look at that, the poor old soul. So they had a collection for him. They got £95, sent it back. He was delighted. He wrote back, Dear God, thank you for the miracle. I know I asked for £100 and only 95 came, but it's probably one of them robbing swines in the post office.
Father Murphy was going over to Rome to study for 8 years, and Bridget Flanagan went up to him. She said, Father, when you get over there, would you say a prayer in St. Peter's Basilica that I'll have a little family? He said, don't worry, when I get over there, I'll light a candle for you. 8 years later, he came back. Mrs. Flanagan went up. She said, Father, God love you. You're a saint. You'll be canonized. The 2 children, the kids, the twins, are upstairs. The other 3 wee fellas are at school, and the other 2's in the nursery. He says, glory be to God. Where's your husband? She said, he's away over to Rome to blow out the candle.
It's a daft one, isn't it? See about the 4 Irish fellas thinking of robbing the bank, so they're organising it. The 4 of them were there in the wellies. Pat, the brains. He said, well... Now look, lad, now, Michael, now, you ready? What I want you to do, get the gun and rush in and stop any of the customers, get them up against the wall, and if there's anything, shoot them. He said, you will, I will. Yes, I will. He said, I'll be outside in the car because I've got the worst job. I said, right. He said, now, Sean, what I want you to do, he said, is to nip in after Pat and jump over the counter and get the tiller, the one with the money. And make a lie on the floor. Put your welly on the head and keep it there. I will, yes. I will. Now, Pat, now, what your job? He said, now, what I want you to do, I'll be outside, I'll be outside in the car. Because I got the worst job, the hardest job of the lot, in the car. He said, you nip in and open the safe, blow open the safe now and get the money out. Right. Now, we'll meet here now, synchronise your watches now, we'll meet here at 9 o'clock, right? Now, I'll be out in the car. Because I've got the worst job. I said, now, hang on a minute, we're robbing the bank and you're sitting, why come you've got the worst job? He said, well, there's no tax on the car.
4-man shouts, Murphy, you're sacked. He said, I can't hear you. He said, you're sacked. I can't hear you. You're sacked. I can't hear you. He said, the hell, I'd sack someone else.
I knew one fella woke up 5 o'clock in the morning, very superstitious as well. 5 o'clock in the morning, he went downstairs and his landlady had given 5 boiled eggs for breakfast. 5 boiled eggs. And the milkman delivered 5 pints of milk. We thought that's a coincidence. We got the morning paper, it was the 5th day, the 5th month, 1965. You thought that's a coincidence. 5 boiled eggs, 5 o'clock in the morning, 5th day, the 5th month, we said, I'll have a bet. So we borrowed the £5. He got a number 5 bus to the races. Paid 5 on the bus. He got off at the 5th stop. Paid 5 shillings to go into the races. He waited till the 5th race, put the 5 that he borrowed on the 5th horse in the 5th race, and he came 5th.
If you ever come to Wales, don't panic, because a lot of people were worried because they were going to get a Russian spy coming to Wales. And it's quite true. He came out to Wales and he had to make contact with another spy by the name of Jones. And the password was, there'll be snow in Barry Island tonight. Well, this Russian spy got off the train in a little place called Abercynon. Walks up to a little Welsh station master and said, can you tell me where I can find someone by the name of Jones? The station master said, Jones? Now let me see. We got Jones the butcher, Jones the baker, Jones the coal, Jones the milk. We got a singer by the name of Jones, which is not unusual. In fact, he said, my name is Jones. And the Russian said, there will be snow on Barry Island tonight. He said, oh, it's Jones the spy you want? Ladies and gentlemen, good night. God bless you. Thank you.